Hello, lovelies. I'm back. And how have you been? We are here in Aries season. We all made it through this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and wow, it was a doozy. I feel like it was a doozy. Now, I witnessed a lot of similarities to my own experience, which is normal. They say in science that science is based upon the observer. Um, and then I experienced through observing some other experiences that I didn't have. But what I saw last month kind of goes into Aries season, and I want to talk about that. And what I want to talk about is pacing. I'm learning about pacing and the importance of it, and what's so great about it, and what it's for, and all that jazz. So, for me, this Pisces retrograde that we just got through, which was all the way through March, most of March, we were in a retrograde. I felt a lot of dreaminess and sleepiness. I felt kind of like almost like when you get pulled out to the shore, if you're in the ocean and you get pulled out pulled out away from the shore and then you get pulled back in. There's some creatures who, as soon as they get pulled back in, they're like crawling along, like little crabs and stuff. And so I found myself like that, like I was in the midst of a lot of creative projects that I've been working on for about a year, since last May, but especially making progress on it within the last 6 months. And every time that sleepiness would let up a little bit and get me like enough on the ground to back to shore, the way the ocean like comes to the shore and then moves back out. Every time I would do that, I'd be like wanting to get back up and go, go, go. And we definitely, most of us in the world, a lot of us in the world, if we're like on here on the internet looking at astrology, we live in a reality that's like go, go, go. It's just always glorified. The go, 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 do, do, do. Even if like sometimes doing makes you make do. And you would actually be better off not doing sometimes. Glorifying the action has a big part of many cultures. I know around the world. And it's interesting because I'm going to go ahead and talk about that because Pisces season really forced me to pace. I noticed like a lot of people got sick, but then there were also a lot of people that had a lot of emotional stuff. Pacing can come up in so many different areas of our life, whether it's are we allowing ourselves to feel fully, whether it's even those of us who are embodied and know like these embodied practices to do with our body to like let things go because life has like put us in a position to like know those things in order to like exist. Even in that situation, it's are you holding on to it long enough before you like letting it go? And retrogrades really make us like aware of past patterns. So yeah, I noticed a lot of other people were very, very sleepy. And in the Northern Hemisphere where I'm at, we could chalk that up to wintertime, but we can also like know like astrologically what's happening. And so the numerology of this very reflective, almost mirror-like reflective time that we just got out of from the Pisces retrograde, the numerology also mirrored and reflected the numerology of the past 6 months when it comes to the new and the full moon phases. So our retrograde started at 22 and ended at 8. And there's a lot in the symbology of numerology. Numerology and astrology have been used by government to like make choices and inform decision making processes. And the number 8 and the number 22 and the number 4. So 2, 4, and 8 have been the numbers of the past 6 months. And for those of us who are watching this that aren't maybe as familiar with the symbology and the collective unconscious stuff around those numbers, I'll go ahead and go over them real quick. So and this has been like the last 6 months. We've had, I think it's We've had new moons and full moons all at 13, which nets to a 4. And full moons at 28. New moons and full moons at 28. They've all been the same, like for 6 months. And then we have this retrograde that occurred in similar numbers. So we've got 2, 8, and we've got 4. So 2 is about relating to others. It's where we start to realize the whole world doesn't just revolve around us. Hopefully we're realizing this around the age of 1. So by the age of 2, we're like potty trained and walking around like able to share toys and like understand that if we throw things off of the high chair, they're not always going to get picked up and given back to us. And that maybe things go in the garbage instead of the high chair. And hopefully, if our parents are aware, they're teaching us to wipe up after ourselves when we use the restroom. And so that's like the number 2, right? Taking responsibility. Relating to others has to do with taking responsibility. Not everyone is responsible for you. Not everyone is responsible for me. It's realizing like the responsibility is shared. Then we've got 4. And 4 is when you've got more than one entity that has mastered 2, and you now have some solid structure. And the thing that we learn in the number 4, which is also like a square, when not the same thing doesn't always work for everything. So there's going to come a point in time where, maybe it's the idea of mind over matter. Works. And then one day, oh, that wasn't the right way. This is the way. Oh, it's kind of like mind over matter, but it's different. There's some part about that that's going to change for us to continue on the path. So in structures, it's where we are able to learn the tenacity and the challenge. And this helps us when we get, so that's number 4. This helps us when we get to 8. 8 is like our DNA, and it's you get the 2 circles, but when you unwind them, they are like one circle. So the energy of 8 is like every year we have holidays in the winter, but not every year are those holidays exactly the same for us. Every year we have the same cycles. There are cycles and things, but no 2 cycles are exactly the same. So when we are good at 2, relating to others, and sharing responsibility for ourselves with others, and vice versa, and then we're able to do that on a 4 level, which is a structured level that has challenges that require pivoting, then we get to the point where we're able to maybe we want to level up every year, or maybe we want to level up through each cycle. So that's where we recognize that this is a circle, but it's not static. The circle doesn't have to be the same every time you go around it. It can change a little, and you can be the force of that change, or you can learn how to navigate that change, and it'll be easier once you've mastered 2 and 4. So you get to 8, and then challenges are maybe not so challenging, depending on where you are in that cycle, until you apply that 8 into another area of your life. So that has been kind of the energies of the last 6 months. We've been learning about relating to others, and it's very apropos for Aquarius season, because Aquarius season is all about recognizing how these intercellular systems work on their own. Where are they divided? Where are they whole? And how are they going to work with others? And what's going to stand? And what works and what doesn't? And I oftentimes talk about, you can have somebody dressed in a fine suit from head to toe, but if they got a hole in their sock, even if that sock is cashmere, eventually that hole in that sock, if it's not attended to, it's going to affect the person wearing that suit. It's going to affect other things. That suit might end up with a hole in its knee because the person wearing that suit is eventually, over time, going to end up with a blister on their foot, and then they're going to trip and fall, and yada yada. It just spreads. So we mastered 2, 4, 8, and the 28th degrees moons that we've had all in a row for like 6 months, that brings us to like 0 and 1, the binary. And that's where we are right now. So we're in Aries season, and Aries is very much about number one. It's the trailblazer. It's the baby of the zodiac. It's about taking action. It's like we were a star up in the heavens, and then we came down to Earth, and we landed like Spitfire, and we were like, oop, we got a body. Let's, it's about the body, and it's about being on the planet and taking action and being instinctual. So it's almost like all of these like past 6 months were kind of programming. We were programming ourselves and or being programmed for the steps that we take. And some of that will be instinctual because we've already been practicing it. So it's just natural. It's just like going, it's the momentum of the circle. But I want to talk about pacing. So like during Pisces season, I felt like I was forced to pace. And I noticed this with other people too. Like Pisces can rule dream world. It can rule emotions. It can rule symbols. It can rule magic. It can rule drug use. Neptune is associated with Pisces. So I noticed like a lot of friends that love drugs like ended up sick like they got sick unexpectedly. But a lot of people talked about being sleepy. And I really I kept having dreams that we were all being like dosed, like the way people spray crops. I was like having dreams that we were all being like dosed. I'm still having those dreams. It's like kind of wild. But yeah, I felt really sleepy a lot during that retrograde where we were basically reviewing not just the past 6 months, but, we were reviewing all kinds of stuff from the depths because it was Pisces season. But as soon as like the water would bring me back to shore, I wanted to get back up and get back on it, my creative projects. And I had advised everyone and myself, like, just be as creative as you can be during this retrograde. It's a great time for creativity. But I already had creative projects that I was working on, and I really felt like I was getting, like, pulled away from those into, like, sleep and restoration. Well, what I want to talk to you about during this Aries season, because things are about to speed up a lot. We're in the year of the horse. It's the fire horse. Aries is fire energy. We're going to have a stellium. For anybody that doesn't know what a stellium is, it's a lot of planets, like 6 planets or more, all in the same sign, and it's all fire. So it's like we are beginning new life on New Earth in some ways. And it's instinctual, it's impulsive, it's like go, go, go. It's the epitome of go, go, go. Like a lot of toddlers don't want to go down for a nap, like the baby. You have to train the baby how to take a nap. So I learned the hard way, when we got into the higher degrees of Pisces, I was like, it was really warm where I was at, and I was really enjoying the pool. I was already feeling the Aries season coming. I have a Jupiter in Aries at a high degree, which the degree matched the degrees that have been going on for 6 months in everything that I've just mentioned. And I was like, ooh, the pool feels good. Like the pool feels better than I don't know, maybe it's ever felt, and it just felt so good to tread water for an hour or 2 hours in the pool. It just felt so good. And the thing about it is that, mind over matter doesn't always work. Sometimes we have to mind over matter doesn't always work, and sometimes embodiment doesn't always work. So mind over matter tells us push through, keep going. Your mind is capable of helping you get through incredible things that you would never imagine, and that's true. And then embodiment teaches us really listen to your body and do what your body wants. Sometimes both of those things can be true, but also not true in the moment. So I had to learn something else, which is balance, and balancing mind over matter versus being embodied. I had to balance those two things. And it wasn't versus. We want to say that it's versus when we get hurt. We want to say it's male or female. It's this or that. It's black or white. When we are hurt, that's wounding. That's fear and that's scarcity. But when we are in the 4 and we are successful at the 4, I have a high degree in Saturn, which is like 8 and 4 type energy. When we want to be true masters, we need to understand that it's not this or that. Up here, when you're coming back out, it's not this, mind over matter, or embodiment. It's not that or that. It's something else. It's this and that, and then something else also. And maybe it's a balance of those two. But you're going to find out what that other one is. And it's not by saying one of these was wrong or this is not the same as that, because they work together and they are part of the square. So, yeah, just because it feels good and it's healthy doesn't mean that it's also doesn't mean that it's always good. And I think people like on the like medicine, drug journey, addiction journey, I think those folks like get a lot of work on this. I personally haven't had those kind of journeys to have to go on, but I was raised by addicts, so like I didn't get a good example about what is balance. Well, Aries season is echo off. Aries season is going to teach us about that, because the opposite of Aries is Libra, and Libra is all about balance. Libra is one of the signs that are dual. It represents dual energy, and the purpose of that dual energy is for balance. It is the lesson of learning balance. We have other dual energies as well, like Gemini, and we have Pisces. And Pisces is about the cyclical nature and the nature of surrender for the purpose of alchemization. No bark. And then we have Gemini, which is seeing both perspectives. And then we have Libra. What is Libra? Libra is about knowing that this is true and this is true. And they are not opposites. They are not separate. They are connected. They are part of the whole. And how do we work with that? And maybe we might like separate them on, two scales, because Libra is like the person holding the two scales to measure things for the purpose of fairness and equality and taking note and keeping track and all of that. It's about how we resolve fear. It's about what we do with the harvest and how we make it last and all of that jazz. But just because you've taken the whole and you put it on two places to find out what the even balance is, it doesn't change the fact that what you split apart and put on those two ends of the scale, it doesn't change what those things are. Kind of similar to like non-binary is a big thing right now, that word. But that reality of people knowing that there are more than just two types of chromosomes, or that there's more than just what was just taught in elementary school. People knowing that there's so much more to our DNA and our makeup and our biology and our gender and our mind, or our sexual energy. People know that there's so much more than that once they've gone to, the lower levels of college, and then they know even more when they go to the higher levels of college. They learn more than what was taught in elementary school about these things. Kind of like Generation Xers were taught that our blood is blue when we were in second grade, but that's not true. Like, science is always discovering more and more. But we have people from since the beginning of time have known that this idea of creation, it's intertwined. The symbol of the two snakes going up the staff, that's an old symbol. It's not just what we see in the hospitals of today's reality. That's an old knowing, that there are that it's more than this or that. It's more than black or white, male or female. That there's this and there's that, and then there's two other things that make up that square. What's my point? My point is that the shadow of Aries, which is Aries energy, is very me, 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 me. It's kind of bringing in the zero and the one energy. It's zero energy is unlimited possibilities. And you kind of want to protect those people that believe there's unlimited possibilities, right? Sometimes you do. Like the toddler that's just like, yeah, running amok. And then you've got the one energy, and it's like, it's me, I'm here, I'm fire, I've landed on earth, and I'm gonna blaze a trail. That's Aries energy. And then the opposite of Aries energy is balance. It's recognizing that there is more than just the self, that there's a need for more than just the self. When you meet people that have a Libra moon or a Libra soul, they desire that harmony. They want that harmony. They are looking for their business partner with a fervency, and they value that so much. When you meet people that have that Libra moon kind of energy, you'll see they value partnership, and they desire it and they need it. And that's a natural way of being, because we as humans, we need each other. That's part of our species, I did a study when I was younger, when I was in the initial phases of college, the beginning parts of college. And this paper that I wrote, I'm not going to talk too much about. Well, it was polyamory and monogamy in animal species. And I'm going to talk about that, but that's a hot topic in present day, but that's also something that's existed since the beginning of time, even though people don't talk about it. But what I did find in my research was that in voles, the babies who received the most petting from the mothers, the most physical contact from the mothers, grew up to be more viral and able to reproduce more and live stronger lives, not get sick as easily, and live longer. And that tended to be in the family systems where there was a lot of one-on-one contact between the mother and the baby. And that was an interesting bit of information that I learned. And where I'm taking that is, my point is that it's the mother that decides. It can't just be for the baby to decide when it needs to feed, or when it needs to go to the restroom, or when it needs to do anything. It can't just be up to the baby, because if it's only up to the baby, then the mother has sacrificed herself rather than given the example of what it is to be self-sustaining and what it is to have that tenacity of relationship with other. And likely so, we need to have that with ourselves. So if we know, hey, I have a history of my back going out, and I've had this history for 40 out of the 50 years that I've been on this planet, I know that this is my pattern and I need to take responsibility for that. And if I know that I haven't treaded water in maybe 6 months, I need to know, like, I need to have a rule with myself that the first time I go in will be maybe 20 minutes. And then maybe I won't go back for 2 or 3 more days. And then maybe I'll let myself do it one more time that week instead of just being like, it feels good. Feels good. Instinctually, I'm going to keep doing it. Like that's what I did with myself in the pool. So, however you would apply that to your life, whether it's the medicine you take, the drugs for recreational or enlightenment or whatever that you take, or whether it's the actions that you take with a lover, whether it's your job, whatever it is, it's about knowing the pattern, recognizing the pattern, even having information from others, from the collective of what the patterns would be. Other parents will tell, like the father and the mother, like, some kids don't want to sleep at night, and this is what you do to get them to sleep at night if you need to sleep at night, and you need your household to function in a way that is solid. These are the ways that you can make that happen to integrate this individual in your life, so that they can not grow up to be a narcissist and recognize that other people are people too. And this is, as we evolve and as time goes on, we learn more about this. We didn't necessarily know all this. Like, those of us that are alive that are 60, 70 today, like the commercials back in the day, when people were like 20-year-olds in the 60s, if you were 20 something in the 60s having kids, the commercials were telling you, hey, don't, be nice to your kid because they're human too. Don't just hit them or tell them to go away just because you're tired and you've had a long day. Generation Xers, the commercials were like, hey, do you know where your kids are? So like we had it a little easier because at least we weren't like, a lot of us might not have been getting smacked up as much, as like, or yelled at as much because we just weren't allowed to come in the house, right? Until like the sunset. So like, and I'm speaking like in general for like, these generational patterns. So, it's about, and none of those were wrong. They were just another way of doing it that fits into a whole system. And once you master that particular, this way of doing it, and recognizing that it's not this versus that, there's actually something else, and then something else. Once you master that, then you're in a whole nother square, and there's like time to learn about that. So, just kind of like, the 8, like the cyclical nature of 8, which is challenge. But it's also about like recognizing, it's all part of the whole. I don't know if anything I'm saying is making any sense, but I want to quickly go over, at this point in time, I don't think people are probably still listening, but you know what I'll probably do? I'm going to do another reading, and this is going to be for people to get prepared for what's coming after, well, in this year with the year of the horse. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little bit of that, but I want to just remind people, like, pace. There is something so valuable about pacing. Now, my point in my story wasn't that everything was so dreamy that I wasn't able to keep up with my creative goals. My point was that even though I might have had a fear that I wasn't going to be able to keep up with my creative goals, I actually excelled by getting the rest that I needed. And I came out the other side like, whoa, look at all this cool stuff that I learned and that I excelled at, even when I thought I was sleeping too much, even when I thought I was too tired, even when I thought like that I wasn't doing enough because I was taking so many resting points. That's what pacing does. Pacing helps us integrate the information, and even gives us the time to take the time to give ourselves acknowledgement for what we've accomplished. Pace yourselves, dear ones. Pace yourself. Pace yourself.